Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, pause this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. In the context of this podcast, everybody refers to us and our cat. You are free to feel however you want about Rand, who is a fictional character. Don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
I felt like they were pretty boring, didn't you?
Yeah.
I felt like there wasn't much to talk about, so if we run out of things to talk about, I'll just do shitty tarot readings for characters.
Okay.
Because I couldn't think of it. Guys, it's just the same old stuff we've kind of already talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have squeezed the plot in Samara, for about all the analysis juice that it's worth.
Yeah, like, I mean, for one thing, and I never referenced in this chapter something about the fork root tea that they got, and I was like, I can't believe that was in this book, because it feels like eons that I've been with Nynaeve and Elaine essentially just reading the same chapter over and over again.
Yeah, like Groundhog Day, but worse.
Do you have any fun things that we could talk about in the opening?
I was gonna say I could talk about the book I'm reading, but it's about alcoholism, so it's a little bit of a downer. Emily and I both have a set of tarot cards now.
That's true. We could each do shitty tarot readings.
But I don't know what any of the cards
I don't
mean.
either. That's what makes it so shitty. I'm going purely off of visual analysis and just sort of like what I feel when I look at the cards.
Really, like, I have a deck of tarot cards that are like roller skaters. And
this is the Six of Cups. And it's a child handing a cup full of more flowers to another child. So I feel that it symbolizes innocence and generosity.
Okay.
And nostalgia.
Okay.
See?
Great.
Anyone can read tarot cards.
Don't think any of those things are correct.
Oh, yeah? Keep going.
While she looks that up, I was saying I have my deck of tarot cards is all the cards are roller skating themed because though I have not roller skated in over a month because my roller skates broke.
Which was so sad.
Yeah, it was a really devastating. Of course, Tipple is eating.
I know.
I hate you.
We can't set the tone without Tibble crunching in the background.
But I really like them visually, and I think I think it's been a pretty common trend over the past few years for artists to like do their own tarot decks as
I think so.
A way to make money, but also like do really interesting things stylistically, and they're so beautiful and the images are so evocative. I think it would be fun to like write short pieces based off of like a tarot deck.
That would be really cool.
Fiction. I just
as
want
like a
those
writing
projects.
prompt.
Yeah,
that would be really neat.
just like whenever my brain runs out of other stuff, I think maybe we'll
I was expressing to Devin how difficult I find it to work writing on things that aren't connected to a larger plot.
Yeah.
I was like, Sally suggested that I try doing writing prompts, and I was like, I would think I should, because I really do think I should, and I have been meaning to do it. I was like, but I'm afraid that once I do a writing prompt, then I'll get really mad and want to, like, squeeze it into the plot. He was like, you need to create a character like Mad Max, who just sort of goes around into plots.
There we go.
And I was like, but then I'll want to bring that character into the greater plot. You don't understand. It's like a whole thing. But yeah, I think that would be a really fun writing prompt to figure out little things for each of the tarot cards.
Yeah, and just like, I think it would be a good character building exercise.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just one of the things I was thinking about, because I'm having like a really hard time with my writing project at the moment. I just am feeling very emotionally disconnected from it, and that it's just like never going to be good, and it's never going to be what I want it to be, because it just, like, I do not have the skill to bring it to where I want it to go. But that's, you know, my own issue. Nobody needs to comment on that if this remains in the podcast. So I've just been, like, brainstorming some other things that could maybe revitalize my belief in the fact that I'm a capable writer.
I think you are a capable writer. Do you think the listeners are curious when we mention our writing project?
Probably.
That we're so oblique and mysterious about it. They're like, what do they mean? Well, we have lots of writing projects. Letters to Hosier.
Yeah.
Give it a listen.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, now you guys actually do have a place you can go and check out our writing. And though we're not writing fiction necessarily on that podcast, I think that stylistically, like, we are both very in tune with the ways that we write fiction on that podcast, if that makes sense.
What do you think? Do I sound like all my first person narrators?
Just like... Yeah, there's just the, like, way that Emily typically writes in first person. This is a weird cold open. Emily
I don't care. Who cares? Get me out of Samara.
Emily typically writes in first person, and there's a lot of, like, personality, for lack of a better word, in her narrators. Like, they have a lot of presence, and they just, like, compose their own thoughts in really beautiful ways, and I feel like that's the way that Emily writes in Letters to Hosier. Like, she's inhabiting her own voice, but still has a lot of presence and is composing her own thoughts in very interesting and beautiful ways. I typically write in the third person, and I usually do not write in full sentences, and there's a lot more, I don't know, I just feel like I go on these weird, like, image-based things a lot more than you do.
What I've been struck by in your Letters to Hosier are some really incredible images, but also you're so much more, like, casual and amiable, as though Hosier's really there, which I really love.
Gosh, thanks.
It makes me so happy, because you'll just, like, kind of say, I don't know, like, you'll end sentences as questions, like the little interrogatives. Whereas I'm, like, waxing poetic about, like, whatever bullshit in my sad childhood. And you're like, hey, Hosier. And I'm like, this is so nice.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. I think your Letters to Hosier pieces are really beautiful, as I told you.
Thanks. I really struggle to not write in the first person. My whole last project was in the third person, and it made me angry every day.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is so frustrating.
Yeah. That's how I feel about writing in the first person.
Yeah, we're very different that way.
I, like, hate writing in the first person. Like, even about myself, I'm like, I hate this bitch. Take her away. Where are my she, her, they pronouns? She, he, they. Sorry, not she, her, they.
I mean, I think I hope I learned a little about writing in third person, but...
Well, it is on my to-do list this weekend to
please
finally
don't.
start reading it, so I will let you know.
Oh my god, yesterday, I thought of this late at night. Last night we were sitting in our separate rooms and Sally texted me something like, I hate this book I'm reading, and I should have been like, my book.
No!
It would have been so funny.
I would have been so mad at you.
Well, I hate it, so...
I mean, I hate mine a lot right now, so
yeah, that's
I
the
get it.
trouble with being a writer, is that you automatically hate your own work.
Yeah.
I wonder, do artists feel that way? Like, visual artists?
I don't know. Visual artists weigh in. I hate literally every sentence I've ever composed. So.
I'm just like, I hate you every time. I'm like, why'd you write this?
Yeah.
Why'd you fucking write this?
Yeah.
You're so stupid.
Shut up. I was rereading. Was trying to write a chapter before we started this, and I was like, because I'm writing from multiple character perspectives, sometimes, you know, when you're trying to get back into that voice, I was reading an old chapter from this character's point of view, and I'm like, she's annoying! Who made her up?
That was a cold open at some point. Maybe if I cut it down to 3 minutes, who knows. This is Everybody Hates Rand, your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast, where we also maybe do shitty tarot readings and talk about our own work, because nothing matters.
Nothing matters. I don't know. The people One time someone asked us a question in one of our Q&As to talk about our own writing, so there, we just did it. You're welcome.
Years later.
Yeah.
Can't remember
Probably
the last
not in
time
the
we did a
detail
QA.
to which you were hoping, but...
Oh, yeah, like they want like a plot summary or something.
Well,
No.
you are shit out of luck. We don't deal in plot over here.
It's 100% true. It's all character, baby.
Yeah.
That's why we love the Umbrella Academy so much.
What is plot? There's no point.
By the way, I was semi-right about that weird child card. It says, a card of memories and of the past. For example, reflecting on childhood, happiness, enjoyment, but coming rather from the past, things that have vanished. So what I'm interpreting it is that it's the card connected to the song Children's Work by Dessa,
Okay.
which I assume is autobiographical for her and is semi-biographical for me personally.
Okay.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Do we say our names? Do I do that every time? I think
I'm pretty sure we said our names.
I'm gonna have to listen to this back, and if we didn't say our names, I'm gonna be so...
I'm pretty sure you said your name at least.
Okay, whatever.
I don't know.
Like I said, we're in Samara. We're with the girls again. It is literally just the same bullshit that we've been dealing with in terms of interpersonal conflict, relationships, their inexplicable inability to act like mature human beings around each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, to a certain extent, Elaine is what, 17, 18? Mm-hmm. So there's some small amount of leeway there. But Nynaeve is a full-ass adult, and so is Brigitte.
Yeah.
So...
It's like I have spent extended periods of time in close quarters with people that I hate. You know, or even just people that I like, but I just can't be in close quarters with them for a long extended period of time. Like, I get it. But this has been played out over the course of the Fires of Heaven for too long.
Yeah, this feels like I'm watching the 10th season of fucking The Desperate Housewives of wherever. Like, there is no... Whatever was interesting about it in the first few seasons has long since vanished.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm reading only to get to the next chapter, which is not a state you should ever be in when you're reading.
No, especially because of this particular instance of it is so drawn out. Like, this first chapter that we're reading, I can't even remember what it's called. The second one is Leave Takings, because there's a Leave Takings.
There's always a Leave Takings chapter.
In every Wheel of Time book.
Sometimes multiple, I'm sure.
Multiple leaves have been taken.
Make like Robert Jordan and take your leave.
Yeah. But it just goes on for, like, so long. Before, like, Uno or whoever even shows up to be like, there's a boat. Nynaeve and Elaine are together in the wagon for, like, 6 pages.
Yeah, just...
And it's, again, an inefficient use of page space, Robert Jordan.
Yeah, why? Why are we still here? And all we learn from those 6 pages is that it's been 3 days and everyone's impatient and wants to leave.
Yeah.
And that the circus routine has been going on, as it has been.
Which is things you could have told me in exactly the amount of time it took Emily to say them.
And then, like, maybe another paragraph devoted to how Nynaeve is nervous about going into Teleron Riyadh.
Yeah.
And Elaine wants to keep going. Although I do not comprehend why they are at all interested in going back to Teleron Riyadh.
I'm like, Elaine, a scary serial killing murder lady wants to kill you.
Yeah, Elaine's like, we have to go back there because there's so much more to learn. And no one really says, like, but Mogadine... but one of the Forsaken... you know, just kicked our asses.
Yeah.
The last time we went there, like, she just found us and kicked our asses.
Yeah.
What? And now surely she'll be on the lookout more for it.
Yeah, like, excuse me?
There's no healthy sense of, like, being cautious at all.
Yeah, and it's just, like, it's so stupid, but it's also, like, very insensitive to Nynaeve, who was the one who experienced this trauma directly, you know?
Yeah, and who, of course, is acting like, there's nothing wrong, it's fine, we're just being,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
We do also learn via the girls' dreams that Egg told them Rand won a big battle in Kyrian.
Yeah, that Egg managed to break into their dreams, which is an important skill for her to have, but that goes pretty underutilized throughout the series. Like a lot of Egg's Teleron Riyadh shit later.
Like a lot of Egg. I would say.
Yeah, Egg is a character with so much potential and so many interesting things going on, and she is sort of stuffed into this box, much like Rand physically stuffed into a box at the end of book 6. Egg is sort of trapped as the Amyrlin, which is a thing that I don't think is talked about enough. It just limits her a bit into this one space with a bunch of bickering women, which, you know, Robert Jordan loves his bickering women. You're right, though. I have, like, hung out with people I've hated and been and have managed to not level the town with my sheer amount of passive aggressiveness.
Yeah, it's like, of course people get snappy with each other. That's just human nature. But also, most people can be civil with one another because they're people.
Yeah, because you have to work together.
Yeah. You have to work together, or you're on vacation together, or you are roommates. Like, it's just like having a bad roommate. Everyone's had a bad roommate.
Yeah, and you still are just like, it's fine. I'm not a dick to them, to their faces.
It's very frustrating.
Because then you're the bad roommate. And most people have the self-awareness to recognize that.
Yeah. If you think you've never had a bad roommate, I have unfortunate news for you.
You are the bad roommate. Whoopsie. I've never had a bad roommate. They've all done my dishes for me.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, Brigitte comes in, does not make it any better. And then all of a sudden, we're out. She's like, Tom and Julian are back. And they're like, back?
Back? Where'd they go?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Tom and Julian went into town to be useful, I guess. And are here to report that a riverboat made it into the docks, and immediately, as one might have predicted, the White Cloaks and the Prophet's forces came to blows over the ship. Now, Nynaeve and Elaine and maybe Brigitte are the only ones here who know why this is happening.
Yeah.
But do not bother to explain that. I mean, I don't know. I think my first instinct would be to be like, oh, I fucked up.
Be like, well,
I did fuck up. Whoops. But I don't know. Taking ownership of your mistakes is a mature thing to do, and
as we just
Robert Jordan would have us believe that these are just 6-year-olds running around with tits.
I hated that sentence.
That's what it feels though.
I know.
The only time I have ever behaved like this, or anyone I know has ever behaved like this, is like me and my siblings on a road trip when we were 10.
Yeah.
Like, small children.
Yeah. Like, the only person who tells me they are annoyed at my presence is my niece, who is 4.
Yeah, and that's the only people who are socially allowed to do that.
Yeah! Like, come on.
The only person who's allowed to tell me to put on a shirt is my 2-year-old nephew.
Yeah.
If anyone else did, I'd kick them.
Yeah, if anyone else was like, go away, Sally, I'd be like, you're being so rude, but my niece is 4.
I can't help it.
So she just, like, doesn't have the understanding that you can't say those things to people.
Oh, my Christ.
So, like, it's funny when children do it.
It's not funny or cute or charming or even interesting when adults are doing it for paragraphs on end.
And it's so frustrating because it, like, yeah, Elaine is 18-ish, but, like, Nynaeve is, like, what, 26, 27?
Our
Julian
age.
is a 40-year-old man. Tom is, like, a 6-year-old man. And they're all behaving like this. It's just, like, all horrible.
Like, there's a way, I don't know why, we've talked about this before, but it becomes starker and starker the deeper we get into the Fires of Heaven in particular. But there's a way to write people who are, like, affectionate of each other and also a little bit at each other's throats. Like, people tease each other. People, you know, it's the way the Umbrella Academy functions. Sorry to reference it twice in one episode.
Just got this dynamic.
Yeah, it's a very sibling dynamic, but it's the sort of dynamic that grows when you've been through a lot of shit together with people. It's just like this capacity to, you know, snipe at each other without having to renegotiate the ground you're on with each other every 5 minutes. Then Robert Jordan was like, but that would mean having characters who essentially like each other, and I'd rather just have characters who are on their own little islands wandering through space, which seems to sort of negate the whole thematic thing of this series, which is that it's all a tapestry woven together. We're all connected. He's like, no, everyone's an isolationist who hates each other. Whatever, though. But yeah, Tom and Julian are back to report that the White Cloaks and Mosima's people are fighting over this boat, and it has descended into full-on violence and chaos in a very short amount of time. He's like, yeah, shit's on fire now, and they look over to the city, and there's just, like, plumes of smoke coming out, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Just about then, Uno rolls up and is like, okay, gotta go, that's our boat, like,
yeah,
time to head out. And the ladies are, for some reason, they all stand around talking about it for another 6 pages.
Yeah, just to give Galad time to show up.
Yeah, Galad eventually shows up and is like, are we ready? And they're like, what the? Galad's not in his uniform.
I know, he's in disguise.
He's in disguise. And everyone's staring at him.
Yeah.
The only funny part is that lady who's like, does a double take when she sees him, and her husband is like, what the fuck?
She, like, hugs his head to her.
She's like, put your face in my tits, but over his head is like, oh my god.
You know, get you a man like that. Get you a woman like
They
that.
stay together for the whole series, as far as
they're
we know.
cute.
They're cute.
Yeah. So, like, when people like each other.
The circus. But they're all sort of like, okay, we need to get ready to go, when Luca walks up and is like, okay, we really have to go. The circus is also leaving. Because various circuses have already been attacked and caught up in the violence. He's like, so we need to get out of Dodge. And the girls are like, well, we are parting ways then. We're leaving. And he's just like, well, then I have to talk to you alone, Nynaeve. Drags her off, waxes poetic for a little bit, and is basically like, I want you to stay. I want you to be my lover. I want you to have my children. And Nynaeve's like, you want to get married? And he's like, yeah, I want to get married.
It's such a weird conversation.
It's like the inverse of Rand being like, we had sex, we have to get married. Nynaeve, like, can't comprehend a world in which she would just be fucking this random dude.
Yeah.
Which is, like, fair. Why would you fuck Val and Luca? Look at him.
I don't know.
I don't really see the appeal.
But, I mean, like, good for him for having such a liberal worldview.
I know, he's just like, what?
It's like,
Marriage? We're in the circus, lady. We just, yeah, go around doing circus things. We don't care about the ties of the law.
I wish you guys could have seen the hand motions I
It was a sort of shimmy.
For circus things.
Circus things.
It's very funny.
Like jazz hands meets shimmy.
Yeah, it was very good. But anyway, then the ladies, after Nynaeve is like, no, I'm engaged to someone else, and he would, like, kick your ass, even though she and Lan are not officially engaged.
She's like, I know this is an official engagement, but I consider it an engagement. And it's like, talk to Lan, you dick.
Engagement, it requires 2 consenting parties.
Given literally the next time she sees Lan, they will get married. Which is, like, its whole other
right
thing.
after she almost drowns.
Yeah.
The ideal wedding day is almost drowning.
Getting attacked by Mogadeen, almost drowning.
Yeah.
Be ending up on a boat.
Yeah, which you hate.
Which you hate and get seasick on all the time.
Yeah.
Get married. Fuck.
Yeah, it's your something
Go
old,
back
something
home.
new, something blue.
Something blue is the ocean.
Yeah.
The water coming out of your lungs.
Yeah. Something old is fighting Mogadeen.
Something old is land, let's be honest.
It's true. Something borrowed is fighting Mogadeen, and something new is the boat. Ideal wedding day.
Something new. Sex. I don't know.
Sex with Lan sounds horrible.
I know.
He just grosses me out on, like, a primal level.
He's just so old. Like, I think Keanu Reeves is one of the most attractive men alive, but if I was ever in a situation where it was like, do you want to fuck Keanu Reeves? I'd be like, he is twice my age.
Yeah, no, I don't.
No, I don't. I want him to, like he does, actually, have an age-appropriate partner. God, Keanu Reeves is such a fucking legend.
What a unit. Okay, the ladies take, like, 6 years to pack their bags.
Oh, Elaine also goes to that Shanshan lady and essentially is like, listen, we're heading out. You're coming with us because you need to be interrogated. It's like going to an undocumented immigrant and being like, I need you to accompany me to the ICE offices.
Yeah.
don't worry, you'll be fine.
Yeah, and she's, like, shocked when the lady's like, I'm not gonna do
The
that.
Shanja woman is like, I'm not abandoning my elephants. I'm not abandoning the circus. I like
Yeah.
my life here. Fuck off. And Elaine's like, you're coming with us. And this woman, like, kickflips her into the dust while Brigitte stands there laughing.
Yeah, because Elena's like, I'm the daughter heir of Andor. And the woman's like, sure you are.
Sure, Jan.
Yeah.
She's essentially like, I'm sure you could sleep your way to the top eventually.
Yeah, and Elena is, like, so offended.
It's like,
And it's like, this is the only instance of this, like, interpersonal bickering that I can actually get on board with, because afterwards Elaine's like, Brigitte, why didn't you help me? You're my warder. And Brigitte is like, you were not in physical danger. You were just being an asshole.
yeah, Brigitte's like, if you do something stupid and someone is going to teach you a lesson for it, then it's my call on whether you learn that lesson or not. So, yeah, I'm not going to stand up for you when you're just being a dick.
Yeah. And Elaine just starts screaming.
Elaine's like, "Ah, I'm so frustrated. And Nynaeve's like, do you want me to get you your bottle, baby?
Yeah.
You want your blanket?
Can I call
What
you
the
a
fuck?
wambulance?
Somebody call a ambulance. Then they take 6 years to pack.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my god.
Oh my Christ. Nynaeve is like, I'm going to divide up the money, which I guess is a big thing for her, because usually she's just had the money, but she's like, fine, I'll give Elaine half, and if she wants to spend it all, then, you know.
Good for her.
Hashtag character growth on Nynaeve's part, I guess, but also, like, I don't know why you didn't just do that before. You have so much money that if you're the, like, frugal one, you would know that, like, having half of it in your possession is probably enough to take care of you guys, even if your other person spends all their shit.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, it's all just
Yeah.
pointing out the obvious over and over and over again. But they pack up, roll out. We are reminded of the various things in their possession, such as the seal on the Dark One's prison and a couple of extra dream terangrial, which I think will come into play a little bit later, but not right now. So they pack up their things, get ready to go, and are escorted by Tom, Julian, Uno, and Galad out of the circus. All the circus people wave them off. Very sweet. I don't know why anyone would want to wave these people off. They've just been dicks the whole time.
Yeah.
It would be hilarious if everyone was like, bye, Julian.
Hi, Julian, we'll miss you.
Because he's been the only normal and nice one. They leave and like walk around the corner, and all the Shi'ar soldiers are just like chilling. They're like, hello, phalanx formation.
Yeah, I also love it. Specifically, they're like, the Shi'ar soldiers are like covered in water bottles. They are like ready
are
to
they?
travel.
I love them.
It's like they've got water. One dude's carrying a kettle. They are prepared.
They're all like Samwise Gamgee
Yeah.
and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And they're all gonna fight too, like
Yeah.
in the urban setting, carrying like kettles and shit on their backs. I just love the Shi'ar.
I know. We go into the city. There are bodies and things are on fire, and it's very gross.
Yeah, it's legitimately horrifying that this is happening.
Yeah.
Like, I don't love detailed descriptions of corpses, as I think we've already discussed in this episode. I think there are ways to build up violence and the horror of violence without just being like, and then someone died in a gruesome way, you know?
Blood guts.
Guts falling out. But, I feel like this chapter sort of walks the line, and, like, it is very horrifying, but I feel like, in a way, our characters aren't enough horrified by it.
Yeah, I remember, I was thinking about it when I was reading it this morning. I remember being a lot more horrified by this the first time I read it. And I don't know if it's just because I, like, knew it was coming, but reading it again, I'm like, I thought they had more, like, physical altercations, but they only have, like, the one fight, and it's pretty big, and, like, a lot of people die in it, but, like, also they're just casually, like, there's a pitchfork with 2 heads on it, and it's just like,
Gross.
Yeah. It's very odd. It's an odd little scene.
Yeah, I guess it's like, I don't know, we're just seeing a lot of, like, violence come to cities more in this book, The Fires of Heaven. We're seeing it here, obviously, but we've also seen Rand and company pass through those cities on either end of the pass that had just been ravaged.
God, was that also in The Fires
It was
of Heaven?
also in this book. I know, are you kidding me?
These books are too long.
And moving into Kyrian, which has also been ravaged by war, and then moving into very, like, urban violence within Camelin. And I don't know, it's just sort of thematically what's going on in this book, but it feels like we're just seeing larger and larger groups of people be affected.
Yeah.
Feels like the sort of pinnacle of this is when the Shanshan invade Abu Dar at the end of book 7, and we have Matt running through the streets while it is actively being attacked, and then just getting a building dropped on him, which, by the way, is just such a good scene. I know.
I'm still very slowly reading my way through the Path of Daggers, but every succeeding chapter I get angrier and angrier that Nynaeve and Elaine are just like, Matt's somewhere in Abu Dar.
They're like, they're like standing on a hill watching Abu Dar get set on fire, and they're just like, well, off we go.
Sorry, Matt, that blows.
I know, after he spent so much fucking time saving their lives.
And it's like, I know they have to do their Bowl of the Winds shit or whatever, but they're like, bye.
Yeah, I think
Good
there's
luck.
like one paragraph where Nynaeve is like, oh, Matt. And it's like, girl, not enough.
Yeah. Be nicer to Matt, everyone.
Be nicer to Matt 2K20.
It seriously is making me so angry that they're just like, Matt's out there somewhere. But we have to deal with these interpersonal dynamics between yet another group of bickering ladies.
Again, it's like, if characters liked each other, then the stakes would be much higher.
Yeah. Like, nobody seems to give a single shit that they're just leaving Matt in this strange city.
I know. Like, the only shits they give are out of, like, a sense of duty. Elaine's like, well, he's my subject or whatever. And Nynaeve's like, he's my boy that I helped raise.
He's
and it's
my
like,
boy.
It's like, he's also your friend.
Also, Elaine, he's not your subject.
Like, it's shocking that Brigitte isn't like, well, I'm packing up and going back for Matt. Fuck you, Elaine.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just, like, so upsetting to me.
That's not even in this book.
I know. I mean, that's, like, 3 books from now.
God.
But it's just, like, very upsetting. Anyway, yeah, going back to the, like, concept of urban-based violence, is there something, like, I don't want to say more unnatural about, like, violence in an urban setting, because all violence is unnatural, and it doesn't matter if someone's getting beheaded in an open field or in a city street, but there's just something, like, I think it's just, like, a little bit more frightening.
I think it's a little more real world to us.
Yeah.
I think when a lot of the violent encounters that our characters have in the first few books are, like, running into Trollocs or, like, being in a field and suddenly there are white cloaks and they're all, like, a lynch mob and whatever. And it's like, these are sort of Dungeons and Dragons-esque fantasy encounters. They feel very contrived.
Yeah, like you've suddenly sprung upon a party, roll initiative.
Yeah. Whereas with these, it's like, these feel like situations, that we could have talked ourselves out of or manipulated better or whatever. And they're also just, like, scenes we're familiar with. We know what it's like for people to be running through the streets afraid of things.
Yeah.
We know what it's like for people to get shot in the head protesting by white nationalists. Like, yikes.
Yeah, that's a good point. But we have a fight, and of course Galad takes down, like, 30
Galad takes down 1,000 men, and the Shi'ar soldiers are like, so, can we marry you as a group or what?
What a funny twist that would have been if Uno and Ragan were like, husband. And Galad's like, okay.
Galad's like, I will leave the terrorist group and join this group of soldiers who are all my lovers.
Like, what an excellent plot twist.
Like, I'd love that for Galad.
Yeah.
Oh, Galad.
Yeah, and it's just like, Nynaeve is like, he was so graceful. It's like he was dancing and he didn't get a single drop of blood on his little velvet suit or whatever. And it's like...
Isn't he wearing a hat? Like
yeah,
he's
got a little, like, cap on. And it's like...
God bless.
It's not attractive for men to be very good at violence.
I know, it's actually deeply unsettling.
Yeah, because just, like, the equation of, like, Galad is the sexiest, canonically the sexiest character we ever meet, but he is also, like, beyond good at violence. Just, like, the way those two things go hand in hand. It's like, no, Galad is sexy because he is, like... physically appealing. He's not sexy because he's good with his knives.
Well, I also find it fascinating the way that Galad's violence in particular has to be sanitized and, like, bleached in a way. And I know that's, like, I know that's a really big word, bleached, when he's a white cloak, literally. But it's like, typically in action movies, you see men, when they're doing violence, even if they're doing violence really well, they're getting very dirty, very bloody. I mean, you have to admire the verisimilitude of John Wick, even though it isn't verisimilitude. A guy can't, fight 12 other guys with guns and win.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen, but there's a certain dedication to being like, John Wick's not going to get out of this scrape-free.
Yeah, he's going to have to deal with stitches for the rest of the movie or whatever.
Yeah, and, like, it's sort of overdone in a almost comedic way in, like, Die Hard when he starts the movie in a white tank top, and by the end of the movie it's just, like, brown.
It's so gross.
It's so nasty, but it's just, like...
At least there's a commitment. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's been bleeding. He's been walking on broken glass. He's been sweating his fucking head off. Like... You just can't have Galad be, like, walking off like he did the fucking ballet, not just murdered a bunch of peasants.
Yeah. It's not like Galad is out here killing trained soldiers. Like, the people in the mob, especially, like, those from the Prophet's mob, are, just peasants. People working in the city going up against literal trained soldiers in the white cloaks who are armed to the teeth. And they were like, we're just gonna slice through these people because they're in our way. And it's like, nobody feels even that bad about it.
I know, it's wild, because Nynaeve and Elaine have this whole thing where they're like, we can't channel because Mogadeen might find us. But it's like, you could channel and end this whole thing free of violence.
Yeah, you could have saved the lives of like 50 people.
Yeah, and that's just like not talked about.
Yeah.
It's like, it's especially because, like, we're going to find out Mogadeen's on the boat with them. She's already here. She knows where they are.
Yeah.
They keep underestimating Mogadeen, and so it's just, like, people dying because they're, like, she can't possibly have found us yet. You've been here a week. That's plenty of time for her to
it's like, I don't know why they're not operating under the assumption that she already knows where they are.
Yeah.
Like, of course, be cautious, but she already knows where you are.
Wouldn't that be what you were doing? I just don't... I feel like if someone was out to get me, I'd be like, safest thing to do is act like they've already found me.
Yeah. And it's also just, like, I think it's very funny that they're like, we're worried about Mogadeen finding us because we channel, when there's literally an army of white cloaks around them.
I know.
Like, so let me be the little more pressing concern. Like, don't channel where the white cloaks can see you. Because they will just string you up right here.
Yeah.
But they're just like, can't channel because the Mogadeen. So they're just basically like, I also don't love, I hate the optics of this scene where it's like Nynaeve and Elaine surrounded by this group of armed men and Brigitte, who kind of walks this world's line between what is masculine and what is feminine, which makes her a very interesting character. But in this scene, she's masculinized because she has a weapon.
Yeah.
And so we have these two, like, very delicate women who need protecting, literally surrounded by, like, a dozen plus men and Brigitte. And it's just like, what?
Yeah, and the men they're surrounded with particularly are some who come from some of the most, like, honor-based societies in terms of, like, gender and how they treat women. So it's just like, we are literally putting women on a pinnacle above the carnage. It's just upsetting.
It's like the lives of, and it's like, I don't want to turn it into like a body count mathematics, but like the lives of these two women are so much more important to us than, like, I don't know exactly how many people, but dozens of people that we are just going to cut through to get through this, and their lives and my promise to get them out of this place is worth starting this fucking war that's going to kill thousands of people. And I know we talked in an earlier episode that it's not necessarily anyone's fault, quote unquote, that this happens. Like, we're in a situation where, like, the political tensions are sort of boiling over already. This is just kind of one more log on the fire, but it's like,
yeah, we know
they still have a part to play in this.
Yeah, we know wars don't technically start over single events. Wars start because regions become pressure cookers for violence, and this one certainly has. But you're right, it would be great if they could walk out of this, like, hands clean.
Yeah.
If they could walk out being like, well, maybe violence was inevitable, but we did not contribute to it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you want from your heroes.
Yeah. It's just, like, a very frustrating, I don't know. It's just a very upsetting scene, just the way that they all respond. And then, especially afterwards, because Galad gets them on the boat, And they're like, we're going to take all these refugees with us, which is like, they're trying to account for like one bad action with another honorable action. But then Galad is just like calling for his armor as they sail away, and he's just going to go murder more peasants.
Yeah.
And consider that honorable.
It's just like the global issues are subsumed by the personal issues, which in a series like Wheel of Time feels like a total upending of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, this series purportedly is all about how every person is important to the thread of the plot, you know, into saving the world, but apparently not.
Yeah, it's
more important for us to show Nynaeve's personal growth and getting over how Moghedien kicked her ass once. Like,
Yeah.
that's the climax of this book, bizarrely. Instead of this very upsetting
it's extremely upsetting.
scene.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you're right. They get on the boat. They're like, we're taking all the peasants with us. And they're just like, well, see ya, Galad. And he's like, okay, goodbye. And Galad is now absent from the book, as he will be for the next... He hasn't been back that you've seen him, right?
I can't recall, but I don't think so.
I don't think he's back till 9 or 10.
Bye! Just go have fun doing your terrorist policing.
Yeah, and he's not back in any relevant way until 12.
He's such a useless character. Like, there was a lot of potential for Galad to be an interesting character. Just like there's a lot of potential for Gawain to be an interesting character. Robert Jordan is just like, nope, masculinity is solid. It cannot be challenged in any way that is interesting. So here are these two different, but also the same pillars of masculinity, and they will suck ass. All the time for 14 books.
100% of the time. So, that's a downer. I guess I didn't really end up doing a shitty tarot reading.
I mean, that could be our sign-off.
It could. But thank you for joining us. You have anything else to add? Sorry.
No, thank you for joining us. Thanks to Glenna McKenzie for a theme song. Check out all the stuff we have on the internet. Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, live streams every Friday on twitch.com/Emily Jushaw.
Twitch.tv.
Sorry.
Emily Jushaw, I think. Yeah.
Twitch.tv.
Hopefully Final Fantasy 15 kicked out without a hitch, but who's to say? We don't know.
Tickle, should we do a tarot reading for you?
That's it, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go get him.
What?
Tickle, we're gonna read your tarot cards, unless you want to do one for the characters.
It might as well be Tybalt.
Okay, are you ready to go your tarot reading? Say hi to the people.
You gotta pick 3 cards, Tybalt. He's just zooming. He doesn't know.
Oh, leggy down.
That one?
Okay.
The Queen of Pentacles.
Okay, we're doing it again, buddy. Sorry.
Tybalt.
Gotta pick another card. Gotta pick another card. He hates this.
He's so mad. You want a card? Ah!
He's biting her.
Fine. I'll just pick some myself. Queen of Pentacles, Page of Swords, and the 9 of Wands.
Oh.
I can't remember. I always want to call them sticks.
The 9 of Sticks.
The 9 of Sticks.
Can you tell our baby's fortune?
Well, the Queen of Pentacles is a lady holding a star, which I guess is a pentacle, and she's sitting on a throne, just sort of surrounded by wildlife. She looks really melancholy, like she's looking into a crystal ball. And I guess this represents, like, past, present, future.
Okay.
That's the way I'm gonna do it. So, I guess the past, this looking really melancholy into the future, is maybe Tybalt going to the vet to get his shots this week. How he felt betrayed and upset by not just us, but also by fate.
Mm.
And then the Page of Swords is a young dude. Is that hair? What is that?
It looks like a scorpion from over here.
It looks like a scorpion. He's in tights and boots, and he's got a single sword. And he looks pretty, like, just that I think he's really I want to look it up, too.
Okay, Tybalt's very determined to eat every time we record,
That's
which
true.
is what he's literally doing right
Page
now.
of Swords, a lithe active authority overseeing secret service, vigilance, spying, examination. That does fit Tybalt.
Spying.
Spying. He just sort of stares at us. And then this is the 9 of Wands. It says, the card signifies strength in opposition. If attacked, he will meet the onslaught boldly.
Okay, that's you and Emily plays with you tonight.
That's you when I play with you tonight at 9 p.m., like I always do.
I think it would be really funny. Maybe our between seasons 5 and 6 episodes should be tarot readings for all the characters. I think that'd be very fun.
It would be bad, as I think everyone now knows I'm not a very good psychic.
Well,
Whatever. Fortune teller? Is that the word? But it's okay, because that's the point. Thank you all for listening. Have a lovely week. Oh, hi, are you ready to meet the onslaught boldly? Don't do war crimes. Goodbye.
bye.